call it too. Summer's over after today.
It's official?
Yeah, it's official.
Dun, dun,
It's
dun,
official.
dun.
It's like 57 degrees, but this is our sixth summer is officially over, and I'm calling it. It was a good run. We're damn near to November, but I hereby declare that today is the last day of summer. We will hit Halloween tomorrow, and that's when the clouds come in and we get no more sun.
Oh, God, that's tomorrow?
That's how the calendar works, my man. Yeah.
Good God.
Well, I tell you what, summer's been gone because Saturday afternoon out at Cook Park in Tigard, it was chilly for
It can be
kids here.
cold. It can be cold, but the sun
Man.
is out, and that's sun in or that's summer in Oregon.
The,
All right.
The wife and I went out with father-in-law, sister-in-law to Oaks Park, the scare grounds on Saturday night.
Oh, how was that?
It was fun.
Yeah?
Fun little trip. No.
Was that a question?
No, it was a fun little trip, but it was cold, and
Yeah.
I was cheap. I didn't get the VIP passes.
Oh, yeah.
Brother, it was slammed.
Really? What would VIP have gotten you?
Gets you up to
Like,
the front of the line.
You can get somebody killed at the like when they come out.
Well, I
They'll
mean,
actually stab. Like,
I was actually giving them pointers. Like, no, that's not how you do it.
not realistic.
They did have in one of the houses. They had three of them. They're themed.
Oh, cool.
So one of them was like movie villains.
Okay.
So they had like Freddy, Jason.
Yeah.
Leatherface was at the end of one of them.
Yeah, he's terrifying.
Whoever they got playing it is like 6'6".
Oh,
Like the person that's back there, it's
All
like
right.
6'6", like 260, like Leatherface.
he's in his wheelhouse.
Yes, huge, massive dude, and he's got a
Like
chainsaw, two-stroke chainsaw, no chain on it, obviously, but scared the crap out of my wife. She could hear that around the corner,
Yeah.
and he revved it up like 6 inches from her face.
Ooh.
And she got like she hugged the wall,
Yeah.
and was terrified.
All right.
So that
I
worked.
like that.
No, it was fun. Like it was. I only got the one jump scare, and that was in a strobe lit room.
Ooh.
Freddy Krueger came like out from like behind.
Yeah. No, I'm good on that. I don't want that.
like the.
it's not the life
like-
I'm living.
No, it was like a bunch of stuff hanging, so you couldn't really see,
Yeah.
and the strobe light, so it just kind of like made my brain short circuit.
Yeah.
And then I opened it, and he just kind of opened his big claw hand in front of me. It was like I went, oh bleep, like oh god, like.
Yeah.
But that was the only one that made me jump. The rest of it was just like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah. You'll see me in your nightmares
Yeah.
tonight, Freddy.
I'll be back. Don't worry.
I'll be back.
But it's fun-
You're
fun-
out
fun
there
little
just
deal.
taking notes like, and Freddy,
Mm-hmm.
you're
To
mine.
the list.
So what were the other houses? You had villains, and
then they
you
had Slayers. So
Slayers?
you had like the Slayers of Vampire. No, they. You know what? I'm actually disappointed. I didn't hear Raining Blood once.
Yeah.
Come on, it's
So what
Slayer.
are we
Raining Blood.
doing here?
But it was funny. They had speakers everywhere, and they were
Mhm.
playing music, and it sounded like they were just playing my playlist.
Okay,
it was
good.
nothing but metal. And then every now and then they threw in some Michael Jackson, some Thriller.
See, you can't do that.
It was it was okay.
And
Like it
then,
was,
what, the third house was yours?
yeah, no,
Okay.
Third House is mine. But the Slayers was like Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. You know, like the hunters of monsters.
Yeah.
So
okay, I like that.
That's what I had. And then the third one was God, what was the third one? Totally blanking now.
Your house.
Danny's house.
It was my house.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were all really cool.
Vancouver Ford text line's 503-864-6326. The question is, did Danny comfort his wife or laugh at her reaction?
Laughed
Ooh.
endlessly.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
How did she feel about that? Did
Wasn't-
you get punched?
wasn't thrilled, Bob.
No, didn't go well.
I mean, it was worth it. It
Cool.
was worth it.
That's awesome.
I had another one of those moments the day before, Friday afternoon. Early in the week.
Okay.
My wife asked me what the Dame game, the debut in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
She wanted me to go to the grocery store, and I did go to the grocery store. So I missed basically the first half, and I'm getting texts back and forth. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I'm like, I don't know. I'm at the grocery store, and I told my wife, like, I gave her the Speedy Gonzalez. Andale, let's go. Like, let's get home. I want to watch this. And she stops. She looks at me. Who do you love more, me or Damian Lillard? And I hit her just with a look like, do you want to know the answer to this question right now?
I love my paychecks.
But it was funny in the sense of like,
What do you love more, this trip to the store or that Gucci purse?
It's YSL. It's actually YSL. Thank you very much.
Damian Lillard basically paid for that.
Yeah, but I hit her with a look of like, do you want to know the answer to that question right now? And it was funny in the moment, but it was not funny later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very much like, I need to get home and watch this.
Yeah.
Do you not understand?
Come on. I have to do this.
Yeah.
It's for work. It's for work. I'm working
Look,
right now.
it's great that I can use that.
It is nice.
It's
a
look,
nice little wrinkle that
It's
we have.
like when there's something I really don't want to go
Yeah.
do, which isn't that often. I pretty much say yes to about everything. She's like, oh, let's go do this. Let's go do this. But I'll be like, got a game I got to watch. And then
Got a
I'll just look
game.
at the schedule. I'm like, see, there's a
Got a
game
game.
there. There's a
Ev-
game there.
Every day.
See,
That's
and-
why Maction is great.
And then the other things that you don't want to do that don't involve the wife, you're like, oh, I can't. We got it's kid stuff.
Yeah, well, see, I
Kid
got
stuff,
I gotta
soccer game.
I can't lean on that yet.
I know. I gotta fix that,
I need
dude.
that.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Oh.
Hey-o.
Hey-o.
We're talking about practice.
Lot of practice. Practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
There was a joke that you made that I want to pat myself on the back because I didn't make the jokes that were firing through my head when you said,
Grabbed it from her face.
yeah, 6
Yeah.
inches from her face.
Yeah.
And I, out of respect for your beautiful bride,
Mm.
did not make those jokes.
I mean, I would have done it.
Not that I'm definitely not alluding to them right now either.
Mhm.
I wouldn't do that.
No, never.
No.
Oh, family show.
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
We definitely didn't make a bunch of.
Well, mostly
Valid
because
jokes.
I'd be lying to our audience,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? It's terrible. Speaking of terrible, can we stop replaying Kirk Cousins' freaking Achilles going up?
Yeah. Kirkers is hurt. We got a lot. We have a ton of football. This is one of those shows you don't even really need to
Plan for.
like it. Well, yeah, you do because it's sorting it all out.
Oh sure.
There's just
There's
so much.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about. One
It-
of them is Kirk Cousins being out for the season. He tore his Achilles yesterday.
I am 100% in the camp of show the clip once, twice, whatever it is.
Mhm.
But this is literally, we've got it up on the TV in front of me, and it's literally replayed 5 times. It's
Yeah.
like, okay. You like that? You like that?
I don't like
no,
that.
we don't like that.
I don't like
I
that.
thought it was funny. Well, not funny is the
Wow,
incorrect word.
funny.
But no, yesterday as he's hobbling off the sideline, and the play-by-play guy actually says, "Oh, his Cousins limps over to the sideline." No, he wasn't limping. He was hopping on one foot, putting zero pressure on that
Fart
leg.
hammer.
That too.
All right. Yeah. I can I say I'm going to preface this. I do not hope anybody gets injured. Even my worst enemies in sports. I do not. No, I don't. I don't hope they get injured. I never want it to see anybody hurt.
No, it's true.
That sucks.
Well, in sports,
And I am not a Kirk Cousins believer,
no.
if you will.
Neither of us are subscribing to that.
Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. And I will say that I do feel bad for Kirk Cousins because an Achilles is such a long recovery unless you're Aaron Rodgers. But
Whatever he is doing, my God.
yeah, crystals. But and that sucks he got hurt. But one thing that I'm just like relieved we don't have to do again is Kirk Cousins good? We know what Kirk Cousins is.
Yeah.
We know it.
Mhm.
Kirk Cousins is fine.
He's good. He's
He's
good, not
fine.
great.
You know what's crazy is the Vikings could just crash this ship now and end up with a top quarterback in the draft. With all the weapons they have.
Are they really that bad though? I don't think they're bad enough to do that.
I mean, with their quarterback play,
I just they're already got 4 wins
they could
And
end
the-
this thing with 5.
and tiebreakers. They've already beat the Panthers and the Bears.
Panthers don't have their first round pick though.
Well, I know, but they go to the Bears,
Yeah.
but that pushes them down the draft because
Sure.
it goes to Chicago.
Sure, yeah.
But that keeps pushing them down the draft board because they beat them. Even though I think if you beat one of those crappy teams and you guys have the same record at the end,
It should work in your favor.
you should be able to. You want to stop tanking? That should help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like
you were trying.
yeah, you have like the Super Bowl and then the Turd Bowl, and you just kind of play that Turd Bowl,
Yeah.
and whoever actually plays hard and wins it, they get the #1 pick.
And then at the end, we're not as bad.
I think what you meant was ass bad.
Yeah, well,
but
they are ass bad.
Minnesota's, if you're wondering, Kirk Cousins is done with that Achilles. Nick Mullins is on the injured reserve. He's their backup. So we're up to Jaron Hall. Ooh, Quick, Jaron Hall, BYU?
Yes.
Is that where he
Sure.
went?
Yes.
He's a BYU guy?
And then I believe on the practice squad is
look
Sean
at
Mannion.
Ooh.
Oh, he's getting called up.
He's going to be starting soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless they trade for somebody at the deadline.
Kyler.
I don't know. Carson
Is
Wentz
that-
is still sitting on a couch somewhere.
Is that
isn't
in
he?
regards to Kyler Murray?
I'm here for all the chaos.
Yeah. Right. But they still have Kirk Cousins' contract on the books.
He's done it. I think this is the
This,
last
yeah,
year. of his
this last
deal.
year of his deal. He's a free
Oh, it
agent
is?
after this year, so they could get off the Kyler money that way.
Mm.
Yeah, it's an interesting proposition that they have to be thinking about.
Kevin O'Connell will be like, no. No. You gave me Kirk Cousins. You will not give me Kyler Murray. I will not do
You think
this.
he'd rather have Drake May?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Because he'd be like, I'm just going to, nope. I'm gonna be done with this. Oh, man. All right.
Also, we get to talk about another rookie quarterback, Will Levis.
Boy, a quarterback's going to start putting mayo in their coffee. Tell you what.
Boy, was slinging that thing.
That's a drop.
Yeah.
That's a drop.
you.
We're going to have to hold on to that one for prosperity's sake. All right.
On it.
So we got a lot of football that we got to get to. Man, this is fun. Unless you're a B fan, I get it. This is tough. This is a tough day.
Tucson does that.
Or Kirk Cousins.
And it gets weird at night. Or if you're Kirk Cousins, or if you like Kirk Cousins. If you like Kirk Cousins, you got bigger issues. I'm sorry, but like it's hard if you're well. He's a nice person. He is a nice person. I found that quarterback show. I was like, I like Kirk Cousins the person. He's a little much, kind of corny, cheesy,
Kind of.
nerdy, but he embraces it and he leans into it and he is who he is. I like that about Kirk. But I don't think that anybody's like, I'm a diehard Kirk Cousins fan. I love that man. That's a weird demo.
Yeah.
I don't think they're listening to this station.
No. That Venn diagram is way.
I think they're listening to the Holy Roller stations,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I could see that crowd.
Yeah.
Being in.
Or the acapella stations.
Mhm.
Is there one? Because
And-
remember, he was in the acapella station.
Yeah.
Their crew, and they've got their hand signal.
Yeah. What we mean.
It was extreme tenors.
Yeah. You know what though? In Minnesota,
It wasn't
That
rockapella.
was so cringy.
but in Minnesota,
Like, I was in extreme tenors.
Yeah.
People watching on YouTube, they saw that.
yeah. That demo exists in the North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa triangle.
100%.
That
He
it-
plays in the upper Midwest,
Yeah.
which is why he's the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
for
like
goodness sakes.
that works. Like that,
Yeah.
I could see that crowd being in there.
All right. We are on YouTube. YouTube.com/1080 AM The Fan. It's how you can watch the program. The Vancouver Ford text sign 503-864-6326. That's how you can communicate with us. And in the YouTube comments too. We see all those. We see them all. But we got to start in college football. We have on today's program. We have a lot of college football that we need to get to. We got some NFL news because it's not just Kirk Cousins. Seahawks made a massive trade. Leonard Williams is now a Seattle Seahawk.
Quite literally a massive trade.
He's a big boy.
Very large man.
He's a big boy. And that's big for this defense that needs a little bit of help in the middle on the interior. He's been really stinking good, getting and being a disruptor in the pass game. We'll talk about Leonard Williams, his impact, and then we had a full slate of Sunday games where it got weird again this week.
Oh, it got super sideways.
All right, but where we got to start, the Pac-12, the Conference of Champions. Boy, it got turned on its head over this weekend. The great teams in this conference, a few of them were playing meh, but the Oregon Ducks made a statement down in Salt Lake City. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Boy, was slinging that thing.
don't like to go to Tucson at night because weird stuff happens to good teams. Like every team has these horror stories where you're having a great season. It feels like a special year. You go down to the desert against a team that's plucky Arizona. Jedfish has been improving every single damn week. They've turned a corner, man. They have turned a corner.
They have something every week, and this week it was Noah Fafita being a god.
Yeah. Noah Fafita is... I love college quarterbacks like Noah Fafita. He's going to be a University of Arizona legend. He is about 5'8", 5'9".
Mm-hmm.
He's a little squatty body.
Mm-hmm.
He can sling it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about him, his eyes, you notice his eyes were always downfield. Always. He's always looking to make the play.
I hate to make this comparison. You know who he reminds me of?
Huh.
Russ at Wisconsin.
Yeah, a little bit more compact version of him. Yeah, because he's smaller than Russ.
Oh, yeah, no, but I mean, like...
I don't care what it says on the roster.
He's 5'7".
He's like, like 5. He's like 5, legitimately, he's 5'8" or 5'9". Like,
yeah.
He legitimately is, he's a little guy.
Little man. He's listed as 5'11". He's not 5'11".
Dude plays like a monster, though.
Yep. Dots guys up. I mean, he was on fire.
He really
Absolutely
was.
on. Like, I didn't think... Did you think Oregon State played a bad game? I didn't.
I know that a lot of, and this is what happens, and I'm going to say the exact same thing about Jonathan Smith that I did Dan Lanning.
Mm-hmm.
When you are aggressive in your nature, I will not criticize it because Jonathan Smith was not being somebody that he's not. They've gone for it on fourth down more than Oregon has this year, and they've been more successful than it. The fake field goal was not a going for it on fourth down call, though. That was a, what are you doing with the time? You're on the 16-yard line. You've got 3 seconds to go. It's a tie game.
Take the points.
Take the damn points, right? Like, that one was one where it's like, this isn't on the 3-yard line, and you're like, yeah, can we get it?
Can we get 6? Yeah.
Like, you're not even squinting at this and going, I like our chances here. You're running the ball with your kicker. And his name is Atticus. Like, that's not like a name that rings speed to me.
Atticus Sappington. That's a dude on a sailboat and some deck shoes.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm super pumped for the guy that he got his 8-yard run, but that ain't it, boss. He only got halfway home. You know, and that, to me, that's a bit like that's one of those questions where, I mean, Jonathan Smith tried to answer it, though. And what was Jonathan Smith thinking when he called the fake field goal at the end of the first half?
Ultra aggression, and that starts with me, and it shouldn't have been. You know, we put the fake in. We actually had it called when we took the delay earlier on the fake field goal, and once we took the delay, backed it up and kicked it, and then ultra aggression. I don't exactly remember, but asking Atticus to score from 20 yards out. You know, we had the look we wanted, all of that, but it was just a bad call at the time. There's some momentum that you can take 3 points into halftime. We had prepped the thing for 2 weeks because we had a bye. You know, and I was just chomping at the bit to get the thing called because the picture, what we anticipated, and really what we got, was a pretty good look. But the logic going into the thing was a fourth down, medium 4th and 5, 6, you know. And I just rolled the dice on that one, and hindsight was not good.
No,
good.
It's not. Well, I mean, what do you want him to say? Like, nobody should be, like, is that a bad call? Yeah. Did it cost your team? Absolutely it did. Yeah, absolutely you did.
It's one of those
lost
ones
by 3.
When you're going pin the tail on donkey, John Smith donkeyed that one. And sometimes you can kind of split hairs, I think, with Lanning and those calls against Washington. Personally, again, I've said it during the game, and it wasn't revisionist history. When they went for it in the first half, I was like, I would have taken the points there.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jonathan Smith here. Like, brother, I love you, love what you've done to the program. Donkey.
Well, but that is the difference between Lanning and Smith in this one is, again, you're on the 3-yard line as opposed to the 16, and you did it with your offense, not your kicker.
And he also did mention it there. Like, we were chomping the bit because they clearly saw something, and they did get 8 yards. Like, they saw something there that was like, when we get this, and I think I'm trying to justify this. He's thinking if he can make one guy miss, he's housed. Yeah, and it, like, having faith in your guys there. If that's anyone else, if it's DJ,
I'll tell you.
if it's any of your running backs, hell, if it's the jackhammer last year,
Yeah.
maybe he makes that play. But your kicker,
But here's where you go, and this is very similar to where Oregon was in this. Momentum is a hell of a thing on the sideline, and when you're feeling like when he says he's chomping at the bit, it's the exact same thing that what Oregon was going through. Is that this is how the game started: touchdown, field goal, punt, touchdown, field goal. So the first 2 drives, Arizona had scored 10 points. Okay, the third drive that Arizona got the ball, you intercept that. Like you got an interception. You stopped them. And it's right before the half. Like this half was flying by. And you're not going to get very many opportunities with the way that the style of the game was being played. They get that interception. They're feeling the momentum. And you're like, hey, nothing can stop us right now. Like that's what Lanning did after the fourth down where they felt they got hosed on the review up in Seattle, right? Ball hit the ground, obviously. Nope. They say the call stands. Next play, Washington jumps off sides. It backs them, or false starts, backs them up 5 yards. And then the very next play, you get the pick. You're sitting there going, football gods are smiling on us. We got this right now. I can see that is where Jonathan Smith was feeling it. Like Lanning was like, no, the momentum is on our side. Both of these instances, it backfired on
the Mo can get you every now and then.
Oh, sure can. It sure can.
But other than that call,
Yeah.
I didn't think Oregon State played poorly.
No.
I thought Arizona just played really well.
No.
Fafita was so good.
Yeah, you didn't turn the ball over. DJ, look,
Did he miss some throws? Sure.
he absolutely did. Winning on the road is hard.
Yes.
And this will be the common theme as we continue to talk about these games that we're going to go through. But with Oregon State, DJ played within himself. Arizona won that game. It wasn't a fluke.
No.
They won that game.
Yes, and that's not to take away from Oregon State at all.
And-
They played a good game. Arizona is just better than people think.
Well, and they've been building to this point. They truly have. And if you sit there and last week we were saying it, like their defense has been so much improved. They have given headaches to
Everyone.
their last 4 opponents, whether it was USC, Washington State, where they scored 44 unanswered and housed them, and now Oregon State. This is a scary team. This is a dangerous team.
You don't want to play this. This isn't like a team on your schedule you go, that's a win. No, it's a team where you're going, I don't want to play them.
The Oregon is probably pretty happy they don't got Arizona remaining on
Which
their
is
schedule.
insane to think about.
And they are 5-3 now on the year. Jed Fish has done a hell of a job
He should be 6-2.
building this program.
As insane as that is.
And you look at it and you go, hey, there's no easy outs in the Pac-12 anymore. And especially, look, Arizona State won a conference game. Arizona State, there's not a
SC
team.
beat Cal by 1.
There's not a team in the league that is winless in league play. Everybody has won at least
Look at
one
that.
game in league play. Do you know what other conference can say that?
Not the Big Ten.
None. There isn't another conference that can say that.
Good Lord.
There's at least one team in every conference that has 0 wins. Pac-12 has got none.
Shouts to Dillingham.
How about that, huh?
Look at that.
Take that for data. All right. But hey, that game, that was a good game. Look, we got derailed by that one call right there. We got derailed by that one call. But the Beavs, now you're looking at, it's going to be a tougher road to hoe to get back into that Pac-12 championship game race, especially with what happened in Salt Lake City. Because as heard right here on the Fan, Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks, they were on one in Salt Lake City, and it was an impressive victory from start to finish. First, you got the Big Kahuna with SportsCenter.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com. First on the Fan, after a win over then number 13 Utah, the Oregon Ducks have moved up 2 spots to number 6 in the latest AP poll. The top 5 remains the same: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. Oregon State down 5 spots to number 16. Utah also down 5 spots to 18. UCLA moves up 3 to number 20, and USC staying put at 24. Week 8 in the NFL closes with the Raiders at the Lions. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. Detroit 7-point favorites. Jimmy Garoppolo set to start for Vegas after missing time with a back injury. NFL Network reporting the Seahawks acquiring interior defensive lineman Leonard Williams from the Giants for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-round pick. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins will miss the rest of the season after tearing his Achilles yesterday at the Packers. Cousins is in the final year of his contract. Agents for Leonard Fournette announced the veteran running back has signed with the Bills. Fournette has passed a physical and will start on the practice squad. Over on the Diamond, Game 3 of the World Series tonight in Phoenix. Rangers and Diamondbacks tied at a game apiece. Max Scherzer starting for Texas. Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. 5:03 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And the Trailblazers 0-3 as their road trip continues tonight in Toronto against the 1-2 Raptors. 4:30 tip on Root Sports Plus. Blazers 8.5-point dogs. Robert Williams out for Portland for rest. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan.
at Utah on Saturday. That place, Rice-Eccles Stadium, it is, we were talking about going down to Tucson and playing night games. You go to Rice-Eccles Stadium, and I was talking to people that were at the game and just saying, Utah folks were going, we wish this was a night game. And there was Oregon people are going, so glad that this is a day game and not a night game, because weird stuff happens in Salt Lake City at night too when you go down there and you play. And this Utah team, whether it was day or night or morning in the big noon kicks, it is a insanely tough place to play. 29 of their last 30 home games they have won in Rice-Eccles Stadium. And from the kick, the Oregon Ducks proved that they were the better team.
They said, no, we're going to go ahead and march down this field methodically, and you aren't going to have anything to say about this.
There was absolutely no doubt which team was the better team in Utah on Saturday afternoon. Bo Nix, and I will tell you this, that talking to some of the national people that were at the game, Bo Nix, they were saying, like, gosh, this has got to be one of those Heisman-type days where you get yourself back into that Heisman conversation, because nobody goes into Utah. It doesn't matter how depleted Utah is. It is the best coach team in the country. How many injuries have they gone through, and they've been just fine? Was this a straw that broke the camel's back? No, it's not for the Utah program. But you know what? They can't go toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the country. Mm-hmm. Like when you have guys like Joel Klatt, who was calling the game with Gus Johnson, saying afterwards, that is the second best team I have seen all season long.
Yeah.
Number one is Michigan.
Yeah, they went into Rice-Eccles and manhandled one of the most physical teams in the country. And look, Oregon State beat that team, but it wasn't in a manner like that. Like I can't remember the last time I saw a Whittingham team get the crap kicked out of them physically like Oregon did. Yeah. That might be the most physical I've ever seen that program.
There is a balance offensively and defensively that this Oregon team is putting out a product on the field that it is something to behold. Because I think one thing that is pretty interesting about the way that they've built this roster is it's old and young. It is the most experienced quarterback in the entire country. And folks, this team is nowhere near what they are without Bo Nix at quarterback. I don't think that we truly understand how good he is and what he means. There was a play where they made a check and they ended up scoring a touchdown on it. But it is the continuity between Bo Nix and Will Stein that I think is something special, where you had Bo Nix know that they had a look that they were looking for, and he looked over at the sideline, and it was like in unison with Will Stein. Will Stein gave him a signal, and all of a sudden, like, Bo Nix kind of gave him a nod, and they were in it. Like, it wasn't like a true check with me where he called a play and was like, hey, check with me on the sideline. It was, they got a look that they'd seen. He looked over, and it was go time, man. And that is special to have with a quarterback. That's 50-plus starts at quarterback.
Yeah, actually 55 to be exact, an FBS record.
And it will never be touched again because the COVID year.
Yes, COVID, transfer, all those things that kind of played into this. And look, Nix's numbers, they're good, but they do not underscore how good he was.
Yeah.
He was surgical. Against Washington in the first half, I told you when you came back from that game, I was like, there was something that he wasn't there. The thing about Bo was that he has been not only accurate with his throws, it's accurate on the placement. Setting guys up so they can turn up fields, so they can get additional yards, hitting them in stride. He just, in that first half of that game, it didn't feel like he was doing that. It felt like there was some jankiness to that. There was zero of that against Utah. It was just dot after dot after dot. And you talked about it, the whole idea of being on the same page. The way they went down, they get the false start to start the game. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's loud in there. And then that was the only setback of the game. They just rolled the rest of the game. And it seemed like no matter what they called, run or pass, positive, 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 positive. It was just over and over and over, and everything was set up off of Nick's being so bleeping accurate.
He started the game 14 of 15 and then ended the game 7 of his final 9.
Yeah.
And in between there, he was 2 for 6. Like it was another one of those games where you just go, whoa. Like were the numbers eye-popping? No.
Didn't need to be.
They didn't need to be because Oregon had Utah on their heels the entire game. And that place was so loud at the beginning. There's only like 51,000 people there or whatever that stadium holds. And
It was roaring.
the music is really loud. It almost feels like it's like you're looking around going, there's no way that this place is this loud.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't quite as loud as Washington was, but it was more concentrated on that one end of the field where the student section is. And that's where Oregon got the false start right at the beginning of the game. That place it was a mausoleum. It got
quiet.
deathly silent in there. Like it was just, you could hear a pin drop. And there was a little kid who was holding up at the beginning of the game this Bo can't throw sign. He put that down after that first drive where he went 4 for 4.
And just ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Touchdown. But what was impressive to me, Bo Nix was great. Bo Nix, is the guy that the quarterback is always going to get all of the love. For me, defensively, allowing only 241 yards as a team, it's mind-blowing. To hold that team to under 100 yards and then to say like, oh, well, hey, it's Utah. No. This is the third straight game that they've held their opponents under 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And it is Utah's identity. And they went in there and they
run the ball.
snatched their identity. And I think like this win, and I said this in the post game with Jerry, is that I think if you were to give Dan Lanning some truth serum, the identity of Utah football is exactly what he would want Oregon to be. They are built on toughness. They are built on the trenches. They are built with a defensive-minded head coach, a next man up mentality that is unwavering, and it's their culture and what they've built there is that it doesn't matter who we have. We will just place another guy in and they're going to step up. Dan Lanning wants that, but with a recruiting powerhouse as well.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of respect for Whittingham. And the way that they won that game was in Utah's identity. Like they snatched exactly what that program's been built on, and Oregon did it right back to them. Because you look at how many guys played, where the plays were coming from their playmakers, right? Oregon didn't have the most explosive game of all time offensively, but look at how many guys produced in the game, right? Bucky Irving has 83. You have Troy Franklin gets his 99 yards because he's just that good. But it was Tez Johnson, Bucky in the receiving game, Jordan James in the receiving game, Trayshawn Holden, Terrence Ferguson had one of the best catches you will ever see.
Incredible.
Because it's not just like, it was a great throw too.
It was only where he could get it.
And it was to have the stones to go up and get that ball knowing you're about to get drilled.
You're going to get smacked. Yeah.
I mean, they beat Utah in every way possible.
I mean, Utah's first drive, everybody's like, oh, yeah, no, they got him off the field and they went for it on 4th down. The second time.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the pass interference on the first time, they would have got a stop there. And that was the thing is, every time Utah lined up, even if you knew run was coming, they only had 6 tackles for loss. But I would love to see how many tackles they had for no gain.
Right.
Because they met them at the line of scrimmage over and over over and stuffed them in the backfield. And it was like, Evan Williams had a play where it looked like Utah might get the edge. Yep. And he came up and just blew it up. And it was like, this is going to be a long day for Utah.
One little note on the poor kid with the Bo can't throw sign.
Yeah.
He's unfortunately, I think, just a product of bad parenting and not helping him with his homework.
Yeah.
Because Bo Nix leads the Football Bowl subdivision in completion percentage at 78.3%.
Yeah.
His efficiency rating leads the Pac-12 and is 4th nationally.
Yeah.
He's generating 8.31 yards of offense per play. That's 8th in FBS. And he's the only quarterback in the country with at least 20 touchdowns and just 1 interception.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Help your kids with your homework.
Yeah, no. If you're gonna go with something there, like just find something else. Find a new slant. Go full Colangelo.
He's pretty good at all of it.
Yeah.
And that was an 18-game home winning streak that was snapped.
It was the
and
longest in the country now, wasn't it?
I don't know if that's true.
I think it was.
I don't know about that. I will take your word for it.
I thought I heard them say something about it.
Georgia's got to be up there. Like Georgia. They don't lose, period.
No, but they've had.
They've maybe they lost at home in 2021 or whatever.
Yeah, I think they did, and I think that or
It was the
in
third
2020.
longest active streak.
Oh, it's third longest.
Yeah,
Okay,
Georgia and Michigan have the longest active home win streaks.
there you go.
Their last home loss was
SC.
November 21st, 2020 to USC 33-17. But think about this, though. Not only did the defense keep them in check, Bryson Barnes, most of his passing yards came on that
Late,
on the final drive of the first half,
Yeah.
where they were in the 2-minute drill, where he looks way more comfortable. But and I don't know why they don't do it more, other
Speed him
than
up.
they just want to protect their defense.
Yeah.
But he is far more comfortable in that. He did it at USC too, where in the 2-minute drill, he was a different quarterback throwing the football. He kind of, when things are chaotic, is where he kind of
That's why
thrives.
he thrives. Yeah.
But they could have, Oregon almost beat Utah just as bad as they beat Stanford. That was a 42-6 game.
Yeah.
Where Stanford kicked 2 field goals. This one was 35-6, where Oregon, Bucky Irving's first fumble of the season, is the only reason why they got the field position. They spotted then the 3 points.
Also, that
game got sideways.
Bucky Irving losing the ball. Let he who has not been picked up and slammed by a 6'3", 310-pound monster cast the first stone on that one.
It was pretty impressive.
That dude is a monster.
Yep. This was that was a complete performance. I will be very interested to see, and you could tell after the game, whether it was Dan Lanning or the staff, there's always we need to improve. We need more work. They were happy with that performance, because that performance, it does not get much more impressive than a 35-6 win in Salt Lake City, offensively and defensively. And I think where the most balance from this roster comes from, it's 100% from its seniors, whether you're a sixth-year senior, all the way down to true freshmen. Because Mateo Uiagalelei had a great game. You had Blake Purchase, those two guys are true freshmen.
Out there making impacts.
These guys were playing high school football a year ago, and now they have grown. And I think there's a lot of questions about young coaches and young coaching staffs about their player development and how well they will develop players. I think what we're seeing from Oregon is when they went to the transfer portal, they filled the holes that they need their gaps in. And you're seeing development in real time from freshmen. I think a lot of that has to do with all of the game experience, because you had another game where the backups came in and they played majority of that fourth quarter. They're getting out of the fourth quarter. That's the other thing.
Pack it up, keep guys healthy. Don't make them take the hits.
Football is a war of attrition. And when you can stay healthy, it is so valuable. When you're not playing in the fourth quarters, when you have fourth quarters that are meaningless, that goes a long way for your team. Oregon has already saved over a full game of plays from their starters because they didn't play in 4 of the fourth quarters in their first 5 games. And then this one, you pulled everybody pretty early, and Ty Thompson, I think, had 2 drives. But you're saving these guys those contacts, and that is massive for this team as you start going down the stretch, because whether we're seeing with Washington, with USC, with this Utah team, your depth gets challenged.
Yep. Especially this late in the season. It's especially the next 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks will define what happens to the Pac-12.
Yeah. It was really loud. It was a really loud game. And they went in. Winning on the road is really hard, guys. Just look at the way the rest of the Pac-12 sorted itself out. By the way, it is the largest margin of victory in a road game for Oregon against a ranked opponent since 1989, when they beat 24th ranked Iowa 44-6. That's a 38 point margin of victory.
They went to Iowa, huh?
Yeah. In 1989, Iowa's offense was still very bad. I have an update to that.
Death taxes and Iowa
And,
offense.
and, and a Ferentz run offense.
I have an update to that. We'll get to that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Seahawks football is on the Fan.
6 DBs in the game. Play fake. Dobbs being chased by Witherspoon, who gets there and throws him down all the way back at the 15-yard line.
Join us all season long for Seahawks football. Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, your local independent train dealer. It's hard to stop a train. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. The Seahawks play here. 1080.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
The Fan.
Black Friday is coming, and that's the smart time to shop for a top-rated TV from Samsung, LG, or Sony. But why wait? You can get those Black Friday TV deals right now at Video Only, and then enjoy Thanksgiving with your new TV. Still want to wait? Then how about better than Black Friday deals? The top-rated TVs at stupid low prices. Check out Video Only now before the rush, or you'll be sorry.
Did you know gas goes bad in as little as 30 days? Bad gas can cause rough starts, poor performance, or no starts at all. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after start.
there's been a statement from the University of Iowa about their embattled offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz. Currently, the Hawkeyes sit at 6-2 overall, 3-2 in conference play. They're 6-2 on the season. They've been outscored 79-71 on the season. They've only given up 79 points.
Is that good?
It's the fourth best in the Big Ten, but they've only scored 71 points, which is mind-boggling. We know that their offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, is the son of their head coach, Kirk Ferentz, and nepotism is a hell of a deal. He has a contract that says if they don't score over 25 points per game this season, and if they miss a bowl game, he will be fired. Well, they're at 19 points per game. Against Power 5 schools, they're at 15.2 points per game. Since they've started Big Ten play, they are at 15 points per game. Do you get where I'm going here? They're not getting better. They're actually getting worse as the season is going on offensively, including a 10-12 game or 12-10 loss last week to Minnesota. And did you see the over-under for this week's game against Northwestern?
Oh, 29 and a half.
It is 29.5. It is the lowest over-under in the history of college football.
That was entirely a guess after the 31.5 last week.
It is 29.5, and it's the lowest on record.
Oh
So
my
this comes
God.
from the athletic director of University of Iowa. Anyone who loves Iowa football recognizes both the successes and challenges that have brought attention to the program this season. Our struggles on offense, coupled with the offensive coordinator's contract, make this a unique situation, you think? How about you put in there that his dad is the coach? After conversations with head coach Kirk Ferentz, Coach Brian Ferentz, and President Wilson, I informed Brian that our intention is for him to be with us through the bowl game, but this is his last season with the program. Making this known today is in the best interest for the program and its loyal fans. It provides clarity during a pivotal time in the schedule, a.k.a. You're losing recruits. We're going to move on here. It is not my practice to be involved in assistant coaching decisions, and certainly not to make public such change during a season. Our priority is to put all of our student athletes in the best position to have both short-term and long-term success on and off the field. Our football team has a group of outstanding young men and talented athletes who at 6-2 have a lot to play for. As a former athlete, I know every opportunity to put a jersey on is a cherished one. As Hawkeyes, let's continue to support all our coaches, staff, and student athletes in the pursuit of a Big Ten championship and bowl game victory.
By my count, Iowa has scored more in conference than 8 teams in FBS play.
Wait,
8.
they've what?
They've scored more than 8 teams.
Oh.
Just scrolling through. In conference play.
Oh, so there's teams that are worse?
Yeah, no, the Charlotte 49ers have scored 42 points in conference play.
That's not good.
No, East Carolina
Hey,
is
isn't their coach's
61.
name Biff Poggi or something?
Syracuse has scored 34
Yeah, that's not good.
in conference play.
Hey, they should go to the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's tough. Michigan State and Indiana have both scored less in conference in the Big Ten. It's 61 and 65 points. So they're right there.
God,
Right there.
that's so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. Kent State has scored 40.
Oh. 40.
40.
But this team is like
Again, we're talking-
they're tied for the best record in the Big Ten West.
And also, they have a phenomenal defense.
Yeah, they do.
And this
They're
is
really
after
good.
sending two guys to the NFL last year?
Yeah, and one to Oregon.
No.
Because Justin Jacobs
Yes.
is now an Oregon Duck, and he played really well in his second game as
So
an Oregon Duck.
3 of their starters from last year are no longer there, and yet here they are again, playing really good defense.
Hot damn. Yeah, so Brian Ferentz, he gone. If they think that this is going to get attention off of Brian Ferentz in Iowa's offense,
Now everybody's just going to watch with
no.
just,
Like, what if he goes out and he scores like 50 against Northwestern this week, though? Like, he's been fired,
Got
and now it's just
no
like
pressure.
they go on a tear, and he's just like, yeah, they got Northwestern, Rutgers, Illinois, Nebraska. What if they just average 50 a game? And they're like, well, we already fired you, so we're not going to call takebacks on this. honestly, if I'm Iowa, the guy that I would go after is the guy who damn near won a game this week. I'd go after
Matt Patricia?
Jake Spivital from Cal.
Ooh,
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll talk about Cal and what they did to
how
USC.
scary that got.
Yeah. We'll talk about that game coming up a little bit later on in the show. But where we got to start hour number 2, big move by the Seahawks. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
X Golf is
For heating and air conditioning needs, check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. Hour number 2, big move for the Seattle Seahawks. We got the trade deadline coming up. It expires this week, and the Seahawks active. They have acquired defensive end Leonard Williams, interior lineman from the, I know it says defensive end, but when you play 3-4, he's more inside.
Yeah.
From the New York Football Giants.
The Gigantes.
A second-round pick in next year's draft and a fifth-round pick in the 2025 draft. And the Seahawks get Leonard Williams, who having a better year rushing the passer this year than against the run.
Mm-hmm.
But look, you have upgraded tremendously in a position of need. And this team, and when you're sitting atop the NFC West now, and you have the 49ers that have lost 3 straight games.
We talked about this. If you're the Seahawks, you keep plugging along.
You have the Rams and the Cardinals, which are back down to earth again.
Yeah.
Like, this is the time where you go, all right, we can be hunters now.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go hunting. And they went big game hunting with this Leonard Williams pickup. And look, he may be having not the best year that he's ever had.
It's also the Giants.
Well, he's also playing again right alongside the number 1 graded by Pro Football Focus defensive lineman in the NFL, and Dexter Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is, and so you sit there and you think of it in these terms, like Dexter Lawrence is eating. The guy alongside of him is still pretty damn good.
Leonard
and
Williams
getting
is a
attention
dude.
as well.
He's a dude. Like, flat out, he's a dude. And it's just.
And hopefully he rises the tides of everybody that's around him on the Seahawks, too.
And that's the thing is, in the past week now, they've added Frank Clark and Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
Their front just got significantly better.
Yep.
You have a real, no doubt, pass rusher. You have an interior pass rusher who, Leonard Williams is a massive human.
Yeah.
He is a huge dude that can eat up blockers while giving you interior pressure.
And he helps Frank Clark and Boye Mafe.
Yes.
He can help these guys get to the quarterback.
Yes.
Opens up a heck of a lot more. Playing alongside, Jaron Reed is going to be huge for Jaron Reed and his continued growth. I think this is a big move for Seattle.
It was. I mean,
man.
they were a step away from killing P.J. Walker 15 times this weekend.
A step away.
And that's the thing is now you've got Leonard Williams who's going to open some things up for you. In Seattle, quietly, their defense has been one of the better defenses in the entire NFL this year. Which you start looking at the metrics, you go, oh, crap. Their defense is carrying them.
Yeah.
And if they can get their offense actually back on track, they get DK back healthy and under control, they could start making some real noise again, just like they did last year as they start to get healthier.
Yeah. I'm excited for this move. I think it's a great move for them. And the Giants, it's officially mail it in time. They're working towards next season now. What we saw yesterday out of the New York Giants was probably the most disgusting football that we've ever seen.
Oh, God. Horrendous stuff.
They had -9 yards passing. I want to make sure that is not lost on people. They ended up with -9 yards passing. And that is the fewest single game net passing yards in NFL history. They've been keeping track of this since 1933.
Since the forward pass.
-9. Guys, might I remind you, it is 2023. Okay? It's incredible. I mean, I've never seen it. They had -8 yards at the end of regulation. Overtime. In overtime. They played extra football, and they had even fewer yards. They got -1.
And Tyrod Taylor has been discharged from the hospital after getting hit in the ribs. And every time you hear the ribs and Tyrod Taylor, you're like, oh, God, not again.
This is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that is the I can't believe
that it has to be screwing with Caleb Williams' head.
Do you know what the fewest was before this?
-4.
No, it's -6.
6.
The
Okay.
2021 Chicago Bears.
That's not surprising at all. Was it Peterman?
No. This was again the Giants against the Bears. Mike Glennon completed 4 of 11 passes for 24 yards, 2 interceptions, was sacked 4 times for negative 30 yards, and he had negative 6 passing yards. This is ugly.
Oh,
dude.
so the Giants hold the 2 worst?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's really bad. That's really bad. But I'm reading here, I think this may have been an AFL game. Negative 53 yards, Denver Broncos versus the Oakland Raiders.
53, yeah.
Yeah, negative 53 yards. But that
in
1967.
Integration between the 2, wasn't that 66?
I don't think so. I don't know. But I'm looking here. This is according to Touchdown Wire. Man. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, 66 was the
66?
AFL merger. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So that
hey,
actually
they're not
was
that
an
bad.
NFL game.
Yeah. This is really bad.
Mm.
This is a very, 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 very bad passing performance for the New York Giants. But it's only
especially,
franchise record.
Especially in modern football.
I don't see how that. I mean, to have 2 of them
Yeah.
in the last 2 seasons?
2 seasons.
The 3 seasons? Because the 2021 season?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. That's awful.
Good God.
Yeah. But at least you could have been worse. You could have been the Denver Broncos, negative 53 passing yards back in 1967. Don't think that that's one thing that you want to be compared to. But here we are, New York Giants. All right, 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. Let's get to a little NBA. We saw the Portland Trailblazers a few times over this weekend.
Indeed.
We're gonna get them
another
one more.
tonight.
Got it back to back, huh? Let's go.
Get used to it, baby. Here it comes.
Boy. Ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly. But you know what? Even parents with ugly children, they still love their baby.
They find a way.
Let's talk about our baby next on The Fan.
Why you gotta look at me when you say that?
filled with people like, no, I think they can figure some stuff
The
out.
Blazers are 0-3 after losing 123-111 in the opener, 102-97. Hey, that game on Friday night,
Look, they competed,
they did compete.
but click on that game real quick and look at the box score.
yeah.
Go ahead and take a look at Orlando's field goal percentage and 3-point percentage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they shot 45% from the field, 32% from three.
Ta-da!
Yeah. But last night, 6-point game at halftime. The Blazers were playing like basketball within the context of the game. Problem is, you play two halves, and they were outscored in those two halves. What is it, 60-38?
Yeah, it was not great.
And they lost 126-98.
The game turned on a Joel Embiid technical foul. And before this, Joel was doing what Joel does in the sense of falling over and hitting the ground and just being a dork for no reason.
Oh.
Just being dumb about it.
Yeah.
And after falling 3 times in a row, or 3 out of 4 possessions, he barked about a call and got teed up by 2 refs immediately. And then he did what he should have been doing the entire time, which is showing, oh, that's right, I'm one of the 5 best players on the planet.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams III did not cover him. The Blazers didn't fail to adjust. He went God mode. He went full on destroy overworlds. It was disgusting. He finished with
35, 15, 7, and 6 blocks.
and 2 steals. He was 3 steals, Dusty, off of a 35 and 15 5x5 game.
Yeah. That's
Oh.
crazy.
Guess how many minutes? 29.
Yeah.
What he did
That seems good.
was insane. And the Blazers doubled him. They trapped him. They doubled him from the top. They doubled him from the bottom. They waited until he put the ball on the floor, then doubled him. They doubled him early. They threw zone. They did everything they could, and it did not matter. He was that good.
Yeah, there's also this element, I see it a lot on social media, and it's like, oh, they need to go to DeAndre Ayton more. They need to start creating looks for him and Jeremy Grant. Again, like if you, please listen. Please listen, because this has been a message that has been for all offseason long,
Yes.
is that without Damian Lillard, and especially now without Anthony Simons,
Oh, it's gonna get
this
bad.
was a team that lacked shooters before. Now you have a severe lack of shooters, so you could draw up the best interior plays that you could ever imagine.
Does not matter.
They are putting 4 guys in the paint.
So again, for the people who look, I want to see Ayton
Sometimes
get more.
5.
No, you're not wrong. I want to see Ayton get more involved. The problem is if you're running a Scoot Henderson, DeAndre Ayton pick and roll, Scoot's defender is undering the pick.
Mhm.
Okay. And as much as they can talk about, well, Scoot can just shoot over the top of it. He's not, because he's not shooting off the dribble, and he shouldn't be shooting off the dribble right now. Well, he should, because he needs to learn, but he's not hitting. He hasn't hit a shot off the dribble really at all this season through 3 games.
He was 0 for 4 from 3 last night. His struggles continue.
Mostly catch and shoot, but again, he's hesitating on his off the dribble stuff because he knows it's not there. Teams are undering that pick and roll, and Joel Embiid last night was swatting everything. Again, 6 blocks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just him. The rest of the team had 11. The 76ers had 17 blocks last night. It was the first time since 1993. 17 blocks as a team. So it
Good
wasn't like the Blazers
Lord.
weren't trying to get inside. They were
That's the most for the 76ers
since 93.
Yeah.
Yes. It was, I mean, the 76ers were incredible last night, but my point is you can't just straight post DeAndre Ayton, because, particularly with Scoot Henderson, because his defender is just going, Scoot's defender is just going to leave.
Yeah.
They're not worried about, they're playing 5-on-4.
He is shooting. I mean,
He's shooting
let's be
33%
honest.
from the field and
No,
70%
he's
from 3.
Well, that's 8.3%.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8.3.
8.3. Come on.
Yeah, they don't
You don't need
care
to
about him out there.
You don't need to defend him. And that, look, it's frustrating. I get it. But again, let's have some perspective here in that what was the knock on Scoot Henderson coming into the NBA?
Can't shoot.
Can't shoot from 3.
Yeah.
This is going to be a project. It's only 3 games in.
This is how the season's going to go. This is why I kept trying to tell everybody.
They're not good.
They're number one, they're not good. Number two, this whole idea of like Scoot's going to average 17-7. No, he's not. 15-5. 3 teenage point guards in NBA history have done it. Kyrie Irving, LaMelo Ball, Stephon Marbury. That's it. That's the list
Those guys
in the
good?
history of the NBA.
Those guys seem good.
All really good. Okay? And that's not to say that Scoot can't be good. Talking to folks around the NBA, the name that keeps coming up over and over and over again, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox was not good his rookie year.
That'd be good.
Shot 41% from the field, 11 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Honestly,
Seems pretty good.
I think that's where Scoot ends up, is right around that line. And I'm interested to see when or where in this schedule it clicks,
Mm-hmm.
because they've got Detroit on this trip, who's a younger team.
Wednesday, right?
Yes, but Cade Cunningham playing incredibly well.
Yep.
Asar is looking like
Asar Thompson.
Asar Thompson is looking like one of the better defensive players, not only in the class, but in the league. Jalen Duren is averaging, I believe, 18 and 15, shooting 92% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't misspeak. 92% from the field. I think it's 91.8. Turns out when you dunk everything, super useful for your field goal percentage. But you're just seeing the differences of what it takes to be a dude running a team and just how difficult it is to drink from that fire hose.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier. Tonight, second of a back-to-back, a young team in a back-to-back.
Going to Toronto,
and
which is a
going
pain in the
to
butt.
Toronto, which is you have to go through customs. The whole process of getting in the night before is the hell. And they played a later game yesterday in Philadelphia. So this is all going to be, and they play at 4:30 today, our time. So buckle up. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and if you look at the schedule, you've got Detroit in there, and then after that, it's like
Memphis, Sacramento.
which if you're catching Memphis at any time, it's right now.
Yeah.
No job. They're injured in the front court. Like that's maybe where you can see getting a win. But they might lose 10 or 11 of their first 12.
Anything else to look for tonight as far as this team and
Shaden has been a bright spot.
He has been good.
And the thing is, he's still going to continue to make mistakes because he's in his second year and he's 20 years old. But what you're seeing from him is there's no longer these moments of, oh, what do I do? It's
good.
It's reaction.
Yeah.
He's taking what's being given to him. There's no hesitation. He looks like
He's
he belongs.
growing.
Yes, and that's what this process looks like.
All right.
I guess another one, Tamani Kamara.
Yeah, I like Tamani. I was just going to say, I like Tamani Kamara.
He might find a way into the starting lineup in the next 2 weeks. He's playing.
Okay.
He's playing that well.
I like him. He's a nice little player.
It'll be interesting to see which way the Blazers go with that because right now they probably need to guarantee him 20 minutes a night, and without Anthony, they can do that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that shakes out.
All right. So they play at 4:30 today.
Indeed.
When do they win?
Detroit or Memphis is their best chance, to be honest. Memphis because they're so shorthanded, and it's hard to win those series games when you play the same team twice in a row.
Okay.
It's really hard to get that, but if they don't get that, what's the next on the calendar?
Sacramento, Lakers, Utah, Cleveland, Lakers, Oklahoma City, Phoenix, Utah, Milwaukee, Indiana, Cleveland, Utah, Clippers, Utah, Dallas, Golden State, Phoenix. December 21st, Washington. December 21st, they get Washington at home.
Over under 3.5 wins by that game.
Under. That was easy. December 21st, it is not. They're not in a back-to-back.
And
either.
the worst part is
Dang.
it might be back-to-back wins against Detroit and Memphis and nothing until then.
That's the thing. That's how I think this is going to go. Legitimately, when they get wins, they'll probably get like, hey, they stumble into it. If somebody gets hot or something along those lines.
Who do we have as a projected number 1 pick this year? It's not Cooper Flagg. That's next year, right?
That's next year. He is committed to Duke, for those that are unaware. So if you want to watch some basketball this year, Cooper Flagg will be there. It'll be insane. Alex
Wait,
Sarr.
no, he's next year. He's
Yes,
going to Duke.
as I was saying. He'll be at Duke next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Alex Sarr, who's a big, Matas Buzelis, who's in the G League Ignite, who's a big, tall shooter. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the draft shakes out this year. But the Blazers are gonna have a very high pick, and the hope is they have that number 1 overall pick in 2025 because Cooper Flag looks like new age Andre Karolinko.
All right, there we go.
So, coming up today on our worst day on the web, the Bears, man.
Oh,
It's tough, but also we're double dipping. Flava Flav will not leave us alone. But first, here's Big Kahuna with Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, after a win over then number 13 Utah, the Oregon Ducks have moved up 2 spots to number 6 in the latest AP poll. The top 5 remains the same. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. Oregon State falls 5 spots to 16. Utah also down 5 spots to 18. UCLA moves up 3 to number 20, and USC staying put at number 24. Oregon quarterback Bo Nix named Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season, while defensive back Tysheem Johnson gets the Defensive Player of the Week nod. Week 8 in the NFL closes with the Raiders at the Lions. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. Detroit 7-point favorites. Jimmy Garoppolo set to start for Vegas after missing time with a back injury. NFL Network reporting the Seahawks acquiring interior defensive lineman Leonard Williams from the Giants for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-rounder. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins will miss the rest of the season after tearing his Achilles yesterday at the Packers. Cousins is in the final year of his contract. The agents for Leonard Fournette announced the veteran running back has signed with the Bills. He has passed a physical and will start on the practice squad. Game 3 of the World Series tonight in Phoenix. Rangers and Diamondbacks tied at a game apiece. Max Scherzer on the hill for Texas. Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. 5:03 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And the Blazers, as we were just talking about there, 0-3 as their road trip continues tonight in Toronto against the 1-2 Raptors. 4:30 tip on Root Sports Plus. Blazers 8.5-point dogs. Robert Williams out for Portland for rest. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand. Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
If you didn't notice, Damian Lillard went from having a fantastic performance with the Milwaukee Bucks opening night to one of the worst performances of his career.
Yeah, I would say 2 of 12 from the field with 6 turnovers in a 17-point loss and only scoring 6 points. I think that's a pretty bad game for
It's
Damian Lillard.
only the 16th time in his NBA career that he has failed to register double digits scoring. Just a rough night. And well,
how many games has he played?
I want to say just under 800.
That's right, I'll Google it.
It's just under 800. I looked at it coming off of the season, but I think we know the culprit.
I 100% know exactly who is to blame for this, and it is not Damian Lillard. It's not. It's not.
It's one very large clock-wearing human.
That's right.
Flava Flav.
He sang the national anthem.
He out-Fergied Fergie.
Oh, say, can you see?
It's not a horrible start. Pretty bad, though.
By the dawn's early light.
Why does it sound like he's trying to read this as he goes?
What so proudly we hailed.
Whose idea was this?
At the twilight's last gleaming.
At this pace, we're hitting
fired.
Stripes and bright stars.
He's not off key.
Not really on it.
Oh, boy.
For the ramparts we watch.
Why is it taking
cringing.
so long?
Yeah, it's like his brain has to think about each word.
I don't know. At some point, you just have this in your mind where you're like, I need to start hurrying this up a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
need to pick up the pace a little bit.
This is hitting like the 4-minute over. What do you have for
My
time?
it's 2 minutes and 41 seconds, start to finish.
Boy, does it feel longer.
Yeah, my favorite part is when you watch a video, they like are zooming in on these Boy Scouts' faces who are holding the flag, and they're just like
struggling.
When is this gonna end? Like their arms are starting to shake. There's people holding back laughter the entire time, and I don't blame them because you go from holding back laughter to, is this ever gonna end?
Because the air right around him is probably vibrating like a tuning fork.
There is 40 seconds left in this song.
How?
Just wait for it because it's Flava Flav, man. Now, I don't know who greenlit this, but they should have asked. Oh, for the big finish. Oh.
And the home of the brave.
Wow.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, because we needed
Oh,
more.
just wait.
I'm gonna say honestly, his voice isn't that bad. It's genuinely not.
No, it's Flava Flav is what it is.
It's the elongation of literally every word in the song.
You gotta we gotta get through this. Like I am pro, unless you're Whitney Houston, you hammer through the national anthem. It's gotta be quick.
Brian McKnight, he also gets the pass.
We've got to just it should be quick, respectful, because I mean, my God, everybody was just sitting there waiting for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and that's what got Damian Lillard to play so bad. It was awful. That was an atrocious game that he played last night. And I went and I looked up 771 games he's played. That would mean that if that was his 16th, in 2% of Damian Lillard's games that he plays in his career,
He has a stinker.
he doesn't score in double digits.
Yeah.
Let alone is what we saw last night. So those will happen. Tonight he's got the Miami Heat though.
Oh yeah, no, and the national media has descended on Milwaukee.
Oh, I
they've-
can't wait till they
and they're
play in
already
Miami. They need to
yeah.
play in Miami though. That's when it'll get real weird.
They're already asking Dame the very dumb questions.
Like, why'd you want to go to Miami?
Oh, how do you feel about Tyler Harrow? Was a question that he was asked.
Oh God, I can't wait. November 26th, they play Portland in Milwaukee. Then the 28th, their very next game is their first trip to Miami. So it's like Dame's favorite things.
The reunion tours are happening back to back.
Yeah, where does Golden State fall in this? They don't. They don't go there at all. Man. All right.
It'll be fun.
Gosh, that was so bad. Do you think the person who greenlit that was like, this is a very bad idea, right when he started singing?
No, because they knew getting into it what it was because they rehearsed it.
And did they though?
They always rehearse it before pregame.
Did they though? But it's Flava Flav.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
do you,
Yeah, I think
And
I don't
nobody-
doubt it if Flavor Flav big timed him.
yeah, I would. I
I don't need no practice rehearsal
Yeah,
round.
he's like, do you know who I am? This clock does not say game time around my neck, so I am not practicing. There's no way.
Really, the clock should have said game time.
I don't think that they rehearsed that. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe it happened. I don't think they'd ever heard Flava Flav sing a national anthem before.
That's tough. They are a professional organization. I think they knew what they were getting into, but it was intentional. Looks like sometimes you do some.
That was intentional.
I think sometimes you do some cringe stuff because some people like the cringe.
This comment coming through on the
wrong with
YouTube
people?
comments. Danny and Dusty has subjected us to Iowa football talk and a Flavor Flav national anthem.
You're damn right.
Mondays.
All right. Well, how about a nice little palate cleanser? Because these, I almost said San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers, not only did they kick the crap out of the Bears on the field, they did it off the field. We'll get to that next year. Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
All eyes on Scoop.
Long rebound grab by
Angeles Chargers social media team, one of the best in the business. Not even just in the NFL, but across sports. They do tremendous content, partly because they're still willing to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah, they're good at social media, not as good at football, but it is when they are on one and your team is actually playing well, boy,
Makes it so much easier.
they go at teams hard.
Yes. They finished their game. Was the final 36-7?
No, it's 30-13.
30-13. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm looking at different scores here. I have the Bengals 49ers score up. 30-13. And they in their just overwhelming support of movies that I love, brought in their Starship Troopers love to their social media loveliness.
That is
For the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. I didn't do f***ing shit.
What that is in reference to is the Chargers offense doing their part, their defense doing their part, the special teams doing their part, and the last voice you heard had a Bears logo over it that said, "I didn't do bleepity bleep."
Well, they didn't because they're the Bears.
Yes.
And there was a tweet out by Adam Schefter basically saying that Tyson Bagent was like, people loved him preseason and all that stuff. Yeah, he sucked too. He was terrible.
Oh yeah.
He was awful last night, and it's almost as if like Justin Fields, also not a great quarterback, but you know what? I think it may be kind of the sum of all the Bears' parts that aren't very good.
I will say this though, 25 of 37 is still probably a better completion percentage than almost every Justin Fields game.
He was losing 24-7 at halftime. So he also had 2 picks, and he was not good. That game was not good. The Bears continue to not be good. And, he and Justin Fields have one thing in common. They've each won a game.
They're both not good.
Dude, poor Bears fans. I want the Bears to be better. The Bears need to be better. But they are just this beacon of dysfunction.
They also have had, they quite literally have the worst quarterback play in NFL history.
Yeah.
Take
that, Browns.
Even if you take Justin Fields out of the equation.
He's not the worst quarterback.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even close.
No, but I think people were piling on Justin Herbert as well. He played like Justin Herbert again.
He
last
rebounded.
night. After 2 games that were really bad. He has his mummy finger that he's out there playing with. That thing looks super weird.
Yeah.
In the way they taped it, looks very uncomfortable for him. But he looked back to doing Justin Herbert things, and going.
Yeah, completing over 75% of your passes for 3 touchdowns in 340?
300 yards. 300 yards. He was really damn good again. Yeah. And look, they did it against a bad team. And this, I think, is what everybody is waiting for. And this isn't just a Justin Herbert part. This is like the entire Chargers organization. Do it against a good team. Because
I don't think they can.
They lost to the Dolphins in week 1 in a game that they gacked away at the end. You lost to the Titans by 3. You lost to the Cowboys by 3. You lose to the Chiefs by 2 scores. I mean, they have not beat a good team this year.
No, and they beat both the Vikings and the Raiders by 1 score, who aren't good teams. I think legitimately, I think the Chargers are quite literally the definition of an average NFL team.
Yeah. But without average talent, because they have
above average talent,
talented
everywhere.
roster.
Yes, which makes a pretty specific arrow at the coaching staff.
I would say so.
It's one of those Acme cartoons when like the bees form the arrow.
Yeah,
they've got one of those kind of pointing.
Boy, they've got to be better down this final stretch, because I mean, right now they're 3-4, and they're not they don't look like a playoff team really at all.
Their schedule's not that tough either. They've got Jets, Lions, Packers, Ravens. So you've got Lions and Ravens are good, but Jets and Packers, they suck. The Patriots aren't good. And then they close the season with Broncos, Raiders, then Bills, then Broncos, Chiefs. So you get Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Lions. Only really 4 of your remaining games. If you stay healthy, are you gonna probably not be favored?
And they got the Bills down that stretch where I don't know what
the
Bills are either, because they're going through some stuff right now too. They looked good on Thursday night. because 24-18 was not as close as that game was. It felt like the Bills were in control throughout the entirety of the game. But you get scores late, and it feels a lot closer, and you kind of white knuckle it to the end because it is the NFL, and that's just the way the league is built.
And you get the Hail Mary call that,
Yeah. I mean, it is, but it felt like they were in control of that game until, things
the
get
last
weird
drive,
at the end.
and you go,
Fine. But you're fine.
But Josh Allen did have his rebound. So both Herbert and Allen, the two quarterbacks that are often compared back and forth, why doesn't this guy get trashed more than the other guy? That whole thing. We talked about that on Friday when you were out. This was an opportunity for Herbert to kind of recorrect that narrative because, to be fair, both Allen and Herbert had been playing poorly.
Do it for a good team against a good team, though.
Yeah,
both of them.
And that was the thing is neither the Bucks nor the Bears. The Bucks are a better team.
They have a very good defense.
Yes, the Bucks are certainly a better team. There's no doubt about that. And even then, Baker Mayfield didn't play poorly. It was just a very average quarterback play.
It's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's your average quarterback play.
Yeah.
And you should beat those teams if you're that guy.
Yep.
So
there we go.
All right, coming up next, we will flip back to the NFL across the board. Christian McCaffrey did something impressive for the 49ers, but they still can't figure stuff out.
No, because they're not good right now.
Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan. really one game, I think, on the board where you're like, I want to see how this game goes.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, were you excited about Ravens Cardinals?
No, that wouldn't be a game
Bears,
that
Chargers?
I'm excited about. But I was excited for the Niners Bengals.
That's the one.
Eagles Commanders.
I wasn't excited about that.
And then I was also excited for the Browns Seahawks. I thought the Browns were going to put up a fight,
And they did.
and they absolutely did. And I was looking forward to that
Didn't
game.
cover by half point, but that's a different story.
Nah, that's why you got to ride the Seahawks. They were not going to lose against the spread or straight up in those uniforms.
It was very close. It was literally a half point.
Well, yeah, but that's why you take the right side of it.
I know. Well,
That's what they just didn't on my other picks.
I can tell you right now, the 49ers weren't on the right side of a whooping as the Bengals put up 31 points on the 49ers. 49ers fall 31-17. The one bright spot out of this is that Christian McCaffrey continues producing. He has now tied the NFL record of 17 straight games with a touchdown.
Goes in motion right this time. Hand off to McCaffrey. Takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. Touchdown! CMC!
Ooh, nice call, Greg Papa.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
McCaffrey continues to do his thing, coming off of being banged up a little bit. They were not going to him clearly nearly as often. He's still clearly got a little something going on. Only 18 total touches across the board. This 49ers team is beat up. Brock Purdy's 50-50 balls are turning into interceptions.
Well, I like not all turnovers are created equally, and not all beatdowns are created equally because Brock Purdy turned the ball over 3 damn times in that second half. And 2 interceptions that on back-to-back drives where they were both crippling, and they're the worst types of interceptions to have because you can have the middle of a drive and, ball, you get picked off, ball gets tipped, whatever, gets picked off. You're like, all right, defense, all right. They reluctantly get back on the field, sudden change. But the way that Brock Purdy's interceptions happened are just backbreakers where you have a sustained drive and it's a 1-score game. It's 17-10. And they're marching down the field and you're like, okay, here comes the Niners offense, right? They are moving.
It was on their 9th play of their drive.
And then you throw an interception on the 8-yard line, Cincinnati's 8-yard line going into score. No, that one is a crippling one. Then your defense comes out and they actually hold and they force a punt. The very first play of the next drive, you throw an interception. Like the 2 ways that those interceptions happen are just absolute backbreakers because then the defense is coming back on the field and they're like, dude,
we just did this.
We got them to punt after you guys damn near scored a touchdown. And now you're putting us back on the field. What happens? 1 play, touchdown. It goes from 17-10 in a 1-possession game where the 49ers are driving in on the 8-yard line to score. Where is there an offense that we have more faith in that red area that they're going to go in and they're going to finish the thing than the 49ers who can run the ball effectively? They can pass the ball effectively. They got a phenomenal tight end and a red zone target in George Kittle. I mean, they keep you on your heels in the red zone and they throw the interception there. Like that is how you just sit there and this is where the snowball happens. I call it the avalanche. Like teams just start scoring in bunches. And what happened? That game goes from 17-10 to 31-17 like that. You get a 1-play touchdown, and then all of a sudden San Francisco is reeling. And every time that they felt like they were getting back into it, Brock Purdy then fumbled again, man. He fumbled because you go down and score. It's 24-17. Bengals respond. Joe Burrow, Purdy
that drive was just Burrow until it was Mixon, and Mixon pounds it in to get the touchdown.
But like Joe Burrow is back to being that dude again. And he is, 4 incompletions. He had 3 damn touchdowns. He almost had as many touchdowns as incompletions in that game.
And also Jamar Chase continues to be always open.
And Brock Purdy, I get it. He threw for a lot of yards, but he turned the ball over 3 times. And look, Trey Hendrickson, he gets the quarterback. That's what he does really damn well. And I wouldn't want to be hit by him. I'd probably fumble too.
Yeah.
But you can't turn the ball over 3 times and expect to win. And I think that's what we're looking at now with, a team that has a 3-game losing streak. Like, Kyle Shanahan hasn't gone through that.
No.
This organization hasn't gone through that. They are way too talented, and a lot of it is on the defensive side of the ball too, because Eric Armstead, he played a hell of a game, but that vaunted front seven, they weren't getting home. Like, it wasn't. Armstead had what, 2 sacks?
Mm-hmm.
2 sacks on the game.
3 total sacks on the game. They had the one where Bosa and Farrell split it.
I mean,
remember, this Bengals offensive line Joe was getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
The calf injury, he couldn't move in the pocket. He couldn't do anything. And this is supposed to be one of, if not the best front seven in football.
Well, and you take into consideration, outside of the 2 Jamar Chase carries, which I don't know, they were averaging probably around like 7 yards a carry. I mean, Joe Mixon, 16 carries, 87 yards. Joe Burrow, 6 carries, 43 yards. Calf is fine.
Yeah, he looks fine back there.
You were getting diced up, and give Cincinnati all the credit in the world, but there's some soul searching happening in San Francisco right now, because when your quarterback isn't playing invincible anymore, and your defense is giving up 31 points and bookending that game with a couple of touchdowns in the first quarter and a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter, that's tough sledding, man. It's really tough.
There really wasn't a lot to find there for the 49ers. And again, not even tip your cap. The Bengals are getting right. That's what's happening here. The Bengals are getting right.
Yeah, they are, but 3 losses in a row says there's something wrong with the 49ers.
Absolutely. But I think it's a world where both things are happening, where you ran into a team getting right and you're not. Offensively, clearly the 49ers are banged up.
Mm-hmm.
Purdy, watching that replay back from last week, getting put in concussion protocol, he did get rung up.
Yeah.
It was a lot more vicious than I thought it was when you see the replay from over the top, and it was just like, yikes, man.
I think most hits in the NFL, like if we get all of the angles of them, we're all going to be like, God, that looks like it really hurts.
Yeah, that one was pretty violent. But again, a nod to Christian McCaffrey, 17 straight games with a touchdown. That is insane.
He is automatic, man.
That is absolutely entirely unfathomable.
It's almost like it's never been done before.
Well, he tied a record. So it's been happened one other time, I believe. No, 2 other times. There was somebody else in that list as well. Again, like old-timey 1953.
Oh, no way.
Tungsten Arm McGillicuddy kind of reference. I got to remember who it was. But you take a look at where the 49ers are. This is what we talked about with the Seahawks. Even though they dropped some games they probably shouldn't have.
Yep.
You've got to find a way to win some ugly ones, because you know that the 2 teams in the bottom of your division in Arizona and LA are not going to be there in the end.
Yeah.
They're just not. But if you can find a way to keep pace, and if you look at, have you taken a look at the NFC standings? It's ugly.
No.
If you take a look at the NFC standings, it is not a good place to be. It is. You take a look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-4, but after that you have 4-4 Saints, 4-4 Vikings, 4-4 Falcons, 5-3 Niners, 5-2 Cowboys, 5-2 Lions, 5-2 Seahawks, 7-1 Eagles. Everyone is bunched up in that conference.
It's a great thing about the NFL, man, is that it's the beast that keeps on giving. And look, I think one of the more scary teams in the NFL right now is the Dallas Cowboys. And look, I know Cowboys will have an inexplicable loss where you'll just sit there and you'll be like, oh, yep, told you. They're not very good again. But after that Niners butt whooping that they got,
they've rallied back.
They really have.
Particularly Dak. Dak looked really good yesterday. There you go. I said it out loud.
Well, he got absolutely hammered on that opening drive. I was sitting there like, dude, are the Rams going to just absolutely blast the Cowboys?
Back-to-back sacks, one of them from the Donald.
3 of them. They should have had 3.
Oh yeah, he got out of one.
And then they end up going up 33-3 at halftime. It was just like, holy crap. Or I guess they scored right before the half and went for 2. But I was sitting there going, goodness gracious, this is a butt kicking they're laying down. And they tried to let him back in as much as they could, but they ended up extending it out, and they look like they're finding a groove and finding a rhythm. And this week, Eagles-Cowboys actually going to be a damn good game, because the Eagles looked mortal again this past week against the Washington Commanders, but what great teams always do is they kind of find a way to win. And then they have the Giants, Panthers in back-to-back weeks after that. You could be looking at a Cowboys team that, God, are they going to be, if they win this week, they're looking at like 8-3 or 8-2 or 7-3 through 10 games. And that's a damn playoff team right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I said. When you're talking
It'll be
about
good.
this conference, if you can get out in front right now.
Well, back into their schedule is going to be really difficult because they have Seahawks, Eagles, Lions, and Bills all in there. Dolphins.
It's going to sort itself
Goodness
out
gracious.
pretty quickly. Well, that's what happens when you end up with a pretty good regular season record the year before.
Stack them wins, though.
Get them while you can.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of stacking wins, figuring out a way to survive and advance was the moral of the story for the non-Oregon Pac-12 teams. Both Washington and USC squeak out against inferior opponents, and Deion Sanders has a lot to say about his offensive line. Coming up on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. and the USC Trojans did not fare as well against what I think everyone would look at and call inferior opponents.
I think this is what I go back to, and I will continue to beat the dead horse because it rears its head all the time. Winning on the road is hard.
Yes.
Like, people are just like, well, they're better. No. Winning on the road is hard, which makes the 35-6 win that Oregon had
stand
against
out so
a
much more.
banged up Utah team much more impressive. Is because it's not easy.
No.
It is not easy, especially in a conference that is as good as the Pac-12 is this year from top to bottom. It's really hard. That's why I was really impressed when Arizona went up to Washington State and just whooped them. Why I was really impressed with Arizona State last week, which got a hangover win from Washington, but Washington needed a pick six. They didn't score a touchdown on offense, but they ended up like putting up a great fight on the road. It's not easy to win on the road. And USC and Cal, USC's warts ended up showing again, and they are not good. And Lincoln Riley probably said something stupid like, well, technically the defense won the game for us because they held them on that 2-point conversion at the end.
My God.
But the defense was atrocious.
No, the defense gave up 49 points. Jaden Ott ran all over them. He got to the again. For those that don't know,
runs over everybody.
He runs over everybody. Also, dumb fast. He got to the edge and broke a 61-yarder. USC's defense is not good. They are not unathletic.
No, they are not very football smart.
No.
And this is Alex Grinch deserves a ton of criticism. Yep, he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's not solely to blame here because what happened with Jaden Ott was just a breakdown of basic football.
Rush lane discipline, holding the edge, responsibilities. I mean, Mason Cobb was the only one for USC who looked to be doing their job in the run game, which is why I believe he ended with 15 tackles.
Their awareness is just awful defensively. And their awareness when a play is going on, and then when it's not. Bear Alexander last year damn near cost him the game, or last week damn near cost him the game. This week it was Eric Gentry.
Yep.
Eric Gentry with a stupid personal foul at the end where it's like, dude, you know you're going to get flagged for taunting on that. And gave him 15 yards, and that led to the score that ended up losing the game for Cal because they went for 2, and that's back-to-back weeks where teams have gone for 2 and not gotten it.
I still think that was the right call.
Well, back-to-back weeks say otherwise, but USC, their defense is going to catch up with them, and it'll catch up with them in a hurry. But it felt like a weird game from the start when they moved the ball all the way down inside the 6. Something weird is happening at USC. That opening drive where they get the ball down to the 6-yard line and they don't score. USC always scores.
Yeah, they're one of the best red zone offenses in college football.
And they kick a field goal, and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is getting squirrely.
There's something a little bit weird, not only on the defensive side, but on the offensive side. One, this drum has been beaten plenty of times. They lost 3 starters on the offensive line, and they thought they replaced them with basically the best transfers in the transfer portal. None of those guys are living up. They've already cycled 2 of those transfers out, and they've gone younger. They still get, how many sacks did they give up? I want to say it was like 4.
Well, and Caleb Williams is now playing with happy feet.
Oh, yeah, no. Cal got there 4 times. That's 4 sacks that they got there.
Yeah, he is playing with a little bit of happy feet, and a lot of those in-rhythm throws are no longer in rhythm. You saw it lead to interceptions last week. This week, he cleaned that up.
Yeah, no, and again,
he was dropping dimes. Some of those balls were just beautiful.
And then he did have, I want to say there were 6 or 7 drops on the game. So because his completion percentage was subpar. He was 23 of 40, but it should have been one of those 30, 31 of 40, a Bo Nix kind of completion percentage, if you will. But what's interesting is Caleb has 13 carries for minus 13 yards because he scrambled a ton and kept going and took big losses on sacks, and it put them behind the chains and allowed them to get, or Cal to get USC off the field enough times to where they could get their defense back on the field, USC's, and capitalize because Jaden Ott ran for $150 and Fernando Mendoza threw for 300. USC turned them over 5 times. But they were +4 in the turnover department. And they win by 1. If you're turning somebody over 5 times, this score should have been 50-14. There's no way you turn somebody over 5 bleeping times and you still get 49 hung on you. That is insane.
Well, Jake Spivital is a really good offensive coordinator. And I think what we're seeing with Cal is, 1J, not really good. But then you have Fernando Mendoza. He's grown so much this year. But Jake Spivital, I think we forget about him and his path because he was one of those guys. He's only 38 years old. He's already been a head coach. He was, I think, in his 20s. He was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, like the Manziel.
Yes,
at Texas A&M. He is a super bright offensive mind, and he went to Texas State where he was the head coach, and then he got canned there, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Cal. And their offense is dynamic.
It's 527 yards.
They will formation you to death. They will create leverage, and like it's really a fun offense to watch, which is kind of counter to what we think of Justin Wilcox's teams being, because their offense sucked last year. They were terrible last year. They're averaging almost 10 points more per game this year. Like, that's Jake Spivital. That's from Fernando Mendoza growing as a quarterback as well. And so, like, they're finding their rhythm. They're a fun team to watch. And when they were at home, they had a little bit more spunk to them. They had a little bit more fire being comfortable and being at home. But for USC, they got some real issues, man. It does not look, their defense is terrible. We know that.
Yes.
But they don't look like they trust each other on either side of the football. And that is, like, that's a major red flag and a major concern, because this isn't just like, if this was just this week, you'd be like, yeah, it's hard to win on the roads. Weird things happen. This is a trend that we've seen over multiple weeks where they're playing with fire and they've gotten burnt, but it's going to happen in a big way if they keep it up.
They've got Washington this week, and they've got Oregon the week after. And a reckoning is coming their way. I'll be bluntly honest. Before the show today, we were talking about Oregon USC.
Yeah.
And on November 11th. What did I say to you?
You didn't know if you wanted to go anymore.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I do want to go because it's gonna be USC Oregon last time in the Pac-12. But
yeah.
I don't know if I want to go down there and watch them get their teeth kicked in because of exactly what you just said. There's no trust. And the reason they're winning games is because Caleb Williams is very much still that dude. Do not get it twisted. If everybody's out there, oh, let's see what it looks like. No, he's still unabashedly the number 1 overall pick. There's nobody going any other way on that. But he doesn't trust his receivers to make the right
Superman.
reads.
He is not this slam dunk Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence
He's
type that we thought.
He's the next step below that. That's
And this year he still should be number 1.
Yeah.
He will be number 1.
He's terrifying good.
Yep.
But he is no longer standing in the pocket and making the reads. It is trying to make something magical happen literally every snap. And even in college football, even as great as he is, and he is great, he's one of the best improvisers we've ever seen back there. You cannot do that every snap. You can't.
No.
You just can't do it. And Lincoln Riley finally deciding, hey, you know what? We should probably run the ball, was instrumental in USC actually being functional this game. If you take away Caleb Williams' negative yards and the team negative yards, Marshawn Lloyd ran for 7 yards a carry. We talked about this last week. Very effective in bolstering that. They may need to start leaning on Marshawn Lloyd to keep their bleeping defense off the field.
Yeah, it's really hard because Lincoln Riley, he's an air
Doesn't
raid
do that.
Well, he's an air raid disciple, and it's take what the defense gives you. Like, and Mike Leach always used to say this, is like, we have a run play on every call. It's just the defense doesn't want to give us that. Like, by the numbers and the leverage and what we're looking at, it's either we can run it or we can pass it. Like, that was always it. Like, hey, we got something. We can always run the ball on you. But it's defensive alignments because their passing concepts will always put them in an advantageous position. But they're running the football. It's tried and true. I mean, it gets you, especially when you're to protect a defense that is as bad as they are.
And then they are getting...
You should probably start doing it.
They're getting gouged. And there's some stuff, going on at USC where people are getting frustrated with Lincoln Riley not doing the other stuff the off the field for the alumni and the meetings and the boosters and stuff like that.
Yeah, like this is why I thought the fit would be weird, is because he
doesn't do that
too
stuff.
many cooks in the kitchen. He's very sensitive.
Yep.
And he wants it to be a power vacuum where he controls everything. Like we talked about this last summer about how when he was at Oklahoma, he was so paranoid that he had an entire dormitory had their windows
blacked out.
frosted so they couldn't see out onto the practice field. Like that's really going to work at SC, and we're starting to see that like they're still really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 7-2, not good enough for SC fans, and we're already starting to see the cracks in it.
And that's the thing, it's frustrating. This is all it has been for everyone down there. They're still one of two teams with only one loss in the conference.
Yep.
Both them and Oregon. That's why the next 2 weeks is going to sort things out. And coming up next, we will dive into Washington and Stanford, as well as what the hell is going on with Colorado and Dion. Coming up next, Danny and Dusty. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, after a win over then number 13 Utah, the Oregon Ducks have moved up 2 spots to number 6 in the latest AP poll. The top 5 remains the same. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. Oregon State falls 5 spots to number 16. Utah also down 5 spots to 18. UCLA moves up 3 to number 20, and USC stays put at 24. Oregon quarterback Bo Nix named Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season, while defensive back Tysheem Johnson gets the Defensive Player of the Week nod. In the NFL, Week 8 closes with the Raiders at the Lions, 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. Detroit 7-point favorites. Jimmy Garoppolo set to start for Vegas after missing time with a back injury, and multiple reports say wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown will play for Detroit despite being questionable with an illness. The Seahawks have made it official. They're acquiring interior defensive lineman Leonard Williams from the Giants for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-rounder. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins will miss the rest of the season after tearing his Achilles yesterday at the Packers. Cousins is in the final year of his contract. Agents for Leonard Fournette announced the veteran running back has signed with the Bills. Fournette has passed a physical and will start on the practice squad. And the Falcons reportedly acquiring Eagles defensive tackle Contavious Street for a late-round pick swap. Game 3 of the World Series tonight in Phoenix. Rangers and Diamondbacks tied at a game apiece. Max Scherzer on the bump for Texas. Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. 5:03 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN. Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And the Trailblazers 0-3 on the season as their road trip continues tonight in Toronto against the 1-2 Raptors. 4:30 tip on Root Sports Plus. Blazers 8.5-point dogs. Robert Williams out for Portland for rest. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The latest Blazers moves and breaking news. Keep it here on your home for all-day Trailblazers coverage. 1080 The Fan.
So
in the sense of being, number one, healthy, and this has been the case ever since the Oregon game. Do you think he's okay?
Well, he was sick this past week.
But I mean,
and that like apparently that was playing a big role into it, a role into his performance. But he has not looked right. No, he didn't look like the superhero the last 2 weeks that he did against Oregon, because he looked like a damn superhero against Oregon.
Yeah, he got stuck in the ribs in that game, and ever since then he just had a little hitch in his giddy up.
In this win at Stanford is 42-33. And the score doesn't tell you how close the game was. But I will go back to this because I see a lot of criticisms about Washington not looking good. Again, it's hard to win on the road. And it's hard to win at Stanford, where that place, you talk about creating your own energy.
It gets weird.
It sucks. Like, it does. It's a really nice stadium, but it's quiet. The fans don't really know when to cheer or how to cheer.
It's a bunch of nerds in a googly-eyed tree.
It just is. It's bizarro world.
And Troy Taylor, look, he gets those guys ready and has something different for you every week.
Troy Taylor has won everywhere he's been. Yep. He is a damn good football coach. And he is getting these guys. He throws wrinkles at teams every single week.
He's got something different for everybody.
They are a well-coached football team. Helps when you have a bunch of smart guys.
Indeed.
But
they can pick that stuff up pretty quick.
They do look like they're getting better as the season goes on, no doubt about it. So is Arizona State, so is Arizona. I mean, there's a lot of teams across the Pac-12. There aren't very many teams that are getting worse as the season goes on. Washington State, I think we can have that conversation about them.
USC.
USC and Colorado.
Yeah,
Colorado's not getting better.
No. And we'll talk about that here in a minute.
But Michael Penix, he started the game rough. I mean, he was 3 of his first 8, 2 of his first 6, and he didn't look sharp. He looked out of rhythm. It helps when you have a 92-yard touchdown where the defensive back falls down because the receiver pushes him over. That is very helpful. But
2 weeks in a row,
throwing to a wide-ass open receiver, and they were all over the field.
Yes.
But it was the sharp throws on a line in between defenders, back shouldering guys that we saw against Oregon. Those throws just haven't been as crisp, and they haven't been there. He's been hitting the wide open guy, and look, he's really stinking good still.
Yeah.
But the raw numbers were there. The efficiency was not. He looked sick. This is coming off a game though where you didn't score an offensive touchdown. And let's not kid ourselves. Like, Stanford isn't all of a sudden like a great team.
No.
You should be able to impose your will, but this is like the hard part about a college football season. And it goes, but when you look back at that Utah game and what Oregon did to Utah, you're like, God, that really is impressive. And the 42-6 beatdown they put at Stanford, it was impressive too. But for Washington, it's win. Because if you win, you're in.
Win and you're in. It's literally that simple.
It doesn't matter if you score an offensive touchdown. It doesn't matter if Michael Penix is playing at God mode.
No.
Win a football game, stay undefeated, and that's all people will care about at the end of the day, because it's really hard to do, is to go through a season unscathed. 12-0, not very many teams are able to do it. And it is, as long as they keep winning, that's all that they care about. But I'm really interested for this next week. USC Washington, that's a game that you're going to see a lot of flaws exploited
on both sides. Look, if you're a Duck fan, you are a Trojan fan next week, because you want that chaos.
And you want them to win, because guess what team you have the very next week? It's SC coming up to Eugene. And, you can do the transitive properties, which is stupid, but people believe in it still, which is, hey, we lost to them by 3, but USC beat Washington and we beat USC. So right now, at this point in the season, we're better. That's not how football works. That's not how sports work.
No, but it always carries that little thing in the back of your head of like, see?
Yeah.
And you get that 3-way tie. It won't be a 3-way tie. It'll be a 3-way tie coming into the game against USC and Oregon if USC were to win, which I don't think they will. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how this whole thing shakes out. And neither Washington nor USC are playing their best football right now.
No, but
the terrifying thing is both these quarterbacks in their subpar performances are better than basically every other quarterback in the country.
And you look at it, Washington is only 3.5-point favorites is the opening line this week. You know, they think that this game will be closer than it may appear on the surface. It's number 5 going down to number 24. It's only a field goal game and a half hook. But I think that's where we're at. I mean, they got some demons that both these teams are trying to exercise this week, and they're going to have to do it against each other, and it's in the Coliseum. So Washington is again on the road.
They're basically saying they're just essentially just under a touchdown favorite.
And this is the gauntlet for Washington. They got at SC, they got Utah at home, they go to Oregon State, and then they have the Apple Cup. Like, this is the 4-game stretch where Washington's mettle is going to really be tested over a stretch of games. And to be quite honest, they've been stretched from the Arizona game before they even played Oregon.
Yeah.
Right? Since before their bye week, they've been flirting with it. And because Arizona, they squeaked one out on the road. They have not been good on the road except for beating Michigan State, which everybody does now, apparently. And they just
it's a rite of passage in the Big Ten.
Yeah. So they're truly a Big Ten team. But they weren't clean at Arizona. They weren't clean this week at Stanford. They need to clean some stuff up before UW, or that perfect season may be going away.
I can tell you right now, somebody else who wasn't clean was Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders continues to be spectacular, but he got absolutely pummeled in the backfield for Colorado. And after the game, Deion Sanders did not hold back how he felt about his offensive line.
Coach, you mentioned the coaching aspect of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with the offensive line, I mean, what has to improve in that aspect besides from
the line has to improve. It ain't no aspect. The line has to improve.
Coach, we talked about run-pass balance a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was up until that last drive, you had maybe 7 carries with running backs compared to like 34 passes.
Yeah.
How much of that is a struggle for you guys right now?
Well, it's a struggle to run the ball. It's a struggle to run the ball. And we got to figure that out, because now you're one-dimensional, and it's easy to stop a team when they're one-dimensional, and that's who we are at this point in time.
Could follow up on that? Being able to commit to that, you talked about one.
Commit to what?
Running the ball. Could that help?
I think we committed to it on a first down, and we was 2nd and 15. Those are the type of things you don't want to do and get behind the 8 ball. First downs are so vital. First downs are everything. I mean, first downs are, when we held them statistically on first downs, it was hard for them to move the ball as well. And when we're getting negative yards on first down, that's a tremendous loss. Because now you know you're going to throw the ball on second down, and they're calling their defenses pertaining to that loss.
I just asked that in terms of the big picture, trying to keep Shedeur upright, healthy, overall.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture, and I'm going to paint it perfectly.
Dicey, and then super dicey at the end. He just says, screw it, we're going to go get new linemen. I don't know if that's necessarily the thing you want to put out there, but on the same token, UCLA had 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. Shedeur Sanders was pressured and or hit 20 times. That's a lot.
Remind me, what did Deion say when he took over that job?
They brought Louis?
Yeah, he was bringing his Louis, right? Well, he went into the portal and he ran off 8 linemen. 8 linemen he ran off and said, get out of here. We don't want you. You're not good enough. They brought in 6 offensive linemen. They brought in tackles from Liberty and Kent State. They brought in a tackle from Jackson State, where he was at before. They brought in a guard from Kent State, where his offensive coordinator was a year before. And a Dartmouth, I think the center is from Dartmouth.
Not exactly college football powerhouses that you associate with offensive linemen.
Well, this is the thing. And this is where, like, Deion in spring ball, he says that, right? And he's saying, we're going to run guys off. We're going to go through all these changes. We are going to change the talent level on this team. And you believe it, right? Because he's bringing Louis. Well, these are his guys. Like, it's not like he has a ton of holdover here. These are his guys. And when you throw your guys under the bus, that then becomes the slippery slope there. Of is he going to start losing some of those guys in the locker room, because obviously he's playing favorites with his guys that are his guys, like his two sons. Or Travis Hunter, or, some of the high prize recruits that he brought in. Like the receiver Omarion, oh goodness, I'm spacing on his name, but
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper, and then Weaver, the other wide receiver, and then he has the corner on the outside, who's the number one corner in the country. Like he's obviously playing his favorites, and yeah, every coach in the world does.
Sure. Also, it has to be hard for him as a dad. I know it's got to be impossible to separate the two. When you're watching your son get the ever-living crap kicked out of him back there, that's got to. You can say what you want. I separate the two, blah, blah, blah. When you're watching your kid get hit 20 freaking times, that's got to be tough.
There is two sides of this. One side is that the offensive line knows they need to be better.
Yes.
Right? And there's a part of me that appreciates that Deion is saying that quiet part out loud, because behind closed doors, any coach in the country is going to be saying exactly what Deion is saying, and he's just being forthright. Yes. And by all accounts, that's the way he is with his players, which is he is forthright and he's honest with them, and it may not be good for your feelings, but it's not about feelings, it's about winning games. And he shows the guys that he cares about them in another way. But when you start losing football games and you're calling out your players publicly, those rifts are going to be interesting to see how far those divides get, because it can become a very slippery slope.
Also, this should not be glossed over. UCLA has one of the best pass rushers in the country.
Hell yeah. Like, we talked about this heading into the game, too. It was like, guess what? They're going to eat, and Colorado can't run the football.
Yeah, no. The Murphy brothers combined for 3 sacks and 4 tackles for loss, and Latu also had 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss.
They give up 5.25 sacks per game. They are 132nd out of 133 teams in the country.
So UCLA
in sacks allowed, and Colorado exceeded that.
Yeah.
Because they were playing a really good team. They are the worst in Power 5. Old Dominion is the only FBS team worse than them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you already have a bad offensive line, and now you're getting the kicker because it's UCLA.
Yep.
We all saw this coming.
Yeah, you play good teams, and your roster isn't very good. Yep.
I mean,
be a long one.
They ran the ball 24 times for 25 yards.
Oh man,
that feels impossible. They didn't have a run play.
It doesn't feel impossible. We saw it against Oregon too.
It's true. I mean,
the only team they were able to run the ball against was USC. It's crazy. They're just Colorado's not there yet.
No.
I hope they do get there eventually.
But they are at 4 wins, which is 3 more than they had last year.
Yes, it is. And it's a completely different feeling about the Colorado football program. It wasn't going to be built overnight. No. We all knew that, even though the national media tried to hype it up like the first 3 games of the year. Oh, my God, look at Colorado's back. No, they're not. They're not as good as they were built up to be through the first 3 weeks. They're not as bad as they were last year, and it's not even close.
All right, coming up next, we'll put a wrap on today's show and get you ready to hand off to Isaac and Suk, where Suk is, well, he's got something on his face. Danny and Dusty, Today the Fan.
happened yet, but he was a guy that was very open with the demons that he's fought his entire life, and that sucks, man. He was really funny, and I loved Friends, not because of him, but because of the whole group. They were really great.
That's weird.
Ross is the worst friend.
I've never heard a whole group called Rachel Aniston. Or Jennifer Aniston. Rachel. Good Lord.
I liked her
Jennifer Aniston, yeah.
a lot.
Who didn't?
I also liked Monica and Phoebe. Like, I was a big fan of all of
Look,
them.
Monica had
They all brought something very different.
Monica brought a little something late to the game. I liked it.
She did. That show Cougar Town, she really picked her game up and then went
Fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah, yeah. But
also, that was
Chandler
the
Bing.
happiest obituary I've ever heard.
That one? Yeah.
Over the obituary.
Yeah.
It's like, yikes. I don't know.
Chandler Bing.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what Joey and Chandler's TV guide, who that was billed to?
No.
Chenandler Bong.
I like that.
My cousin Shannon was a massive Friends fan,
Mm.
and so until I don't know, last year she was saved in my phone as Shenandler Bong.